That's something that our country has to, and the world, we have to decide. What benefit would we get from an orbiting laboratory around the moon or around Mars or a moon of Mars or actually landing? What can we actually do, and how much information can we obtain that will help us by just a very simulated, by just a very simple orbiting laboratory, and maybe an unmanned laboratory. We collect a lot of information robotically right now. What would we really have to go to the surface of the moon, and does it make sense? Because it's going to be very expensive, and do we need that experience in order to prepare us for Mars? Is it absolutely necessary? Because it's going to be very costly, especially if we put humans on the surface. Bob, you've been looking at this also, and I know you're familiar with some of these studies. What's the current idea there?
Let's see. To go from our launch pad to outside the gravity well, which is where cislunar or lunar orbit is, let's say that cost X amount of money. And then to go from the cislunar or lunar orbit to Mars orbit, say it costs half that much, so X over 2. But then to get to the surface of Mars from Mars orbit cost another X. So if you look at it from that perspective in terms of whether it's dollars or amount of mass of propeller or whatever, you can start seeing real quick that is there some benefit to staying in orbit versus having to pay the extra amount to go down to the surface and then try to get back up off the surface. So in lunar orbit, we've proven that we can get down on the surface and back up. So maybe from that perspective, maybe it's worthwhile to get down on the surface to get some of the GCR, galactic radiation, cosmic radiation protection that the regolith and the moon, the mass of the moon offers, and also maybe mitigate some of the microgravity. At Mars, you got to travel such a long way that initially it may be safer to stay in orbit first, if you can somehow protect the crew from the effects of long duration exposure to microgravity and galactic cosmic radiation arrays. So you just have to trade off what's the end goal, and also look at it from a crew health perspective.